to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message, hit the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
And there we are. We're live with episode 439 of the Trinity Force Podcast. Thank you guys for listening, supporting, and watching us every single week. Live on Twitch, twitch.tv/T-Force Podcast. You can also find us at trinityforcenetwork.com. Trinity Force proper, your number one source for high-level League of Legends analysis, as we're going to talk
high
patch
level.
7.9.
The highest level.
You know, you can't interrupt the man when he's doing his intro.
I'm just adding to
and you did.
You can't. You can't do that.
I'm just emphasizing what you were saying.
It ruins the flow.
That was my intent. I'm sorry. I just wanted to prop you up.
Like you wouldn't believe how easy it is to interrupt you during your intro.
Well, sure it is. You just start talking. Anybody can do that.
Yeah. So,
but we do.
I don't know why you're saying we can't, because we really can.
Punch, Dom, and Santana are with us this week. Sean, Mitch, and Moon are out. Hopefully they will be joining us this next week. Or, excuse me, this next episode, so you can hear Sean's lovely voice again. And Moon, hopefully he'll be back shortly as well. He seems to be doing better, so we still wish him good luck.
He's not dead, so that's a plus.
He's not dead. The other two are dead.
Still playing Garen. Still liking Garen on patch 7.9 for those of you out there who have followed who Moon is, the Garen main. You don't want to call him a Garen one-trick, but that's what he spams. So,
I mean, like, it's easy to call him a one-trick because that's what he spams, but we've seen him play plenty of other stuff, and he does it really well. Like, he knows what he's doing.
Just like my Callista.
No.
Yeah.
It's not like that at all, really.
It really is. Just how good I play Callista outside of playing Jhin. It's great.
Your Callista's about as good as my Kindred, so
yeah. So you want me to play it more? Is what you're telling me? So we should play Kindred.
Let's do it. Why not? Why not?
All right, you guys can do that together, and I'll do something else.
Yeah.
For the record, Santana and I do pretty well when we duo.
Well, yeah. When our Lucian's on 013 was it?
013.5.
Our top lane Lucian 013.
It's burned into Pone's memory.
Come to a soul tier near you.
26-minute game. Should have ended at 16 minutes, but we got aced under a turret. But no one wants to surrender at 20 at that point. When my Lucian's 0-11 and 3, I'm like, yeah, we're not coming back from this one. That's a rare occasion where I will surrender.
It was an interesting game.
That's right. So let's talk about some League of Legends, since that's what we're here to do. We have some patch 7.9 follow-up to discuss this evening, as Malachi Sejuani and Zach have all had changes and are being played. The Rift Herald has been updated, all of the items as well, as you've heard over the last 4 weeks, and support quest items. We'll see what Dom had to say on Wednesday about what support quest item is good or bad, if that rang true. But I guess we'll just start with the tanks. And I'm going to start by talking about Zach, because he is the weakest of the three, and probably the weakest tank jungler at this point in time, really, or one of the weakest. And I'm really sad to say that I didn't make the correlation between the Q nerf and how badly that would hurt his jungle, because it doesn't do the straight line AoE anymore, along with his W. And as soon as I started thinking about it and looking at his win rate, I went, oh, right, that makes sense why his jungle isn't doing so well.
There's a lot of factors here. They got rid of the Q for the clear. They nerfed his E knockup, and then his ult, since it doesn't root or ground when he casts it, people just realize they can walk out of it, and it doesn't do anything. So he's currently the lowest win rate jungler now out of all of them.
No,
is he
not true. Nautilus and Camille are lower.
Okay, Camille's not a jungler anymore.
Yeah,
right.
When you're a primary jungler, it's a problem. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like Galio and Kale are higher than Zach right now.
Twitch is up there. Yeah, it's wonky.
Notable junglers, those are.
Mm-hmm.
Galio and Kale. Yeah, the Q nerf makes sense if it really hurts his jungle clear that much, even though I think it was Pone did post a video where he pulled Grop and blue buff together and took them at the same time. What other hero can do that?
Fiddlesticks.
That looks OP. Okay, well, besides,
sure.
Fiddlesticks pulls the camps together and then bounces.
Who else can do that? That's pretty unique, if you ask me. Besides
Kindred can.
Adam, prior to the
Okay, well,
patch,
that's
you were saying that you thought he was going to be a top laner anyway. You were
Right.
kind of you were of the mind that his jungle days were over.
That's because of the Q change, because you're able to grab a minion and slam a champion into it. I thought he might become more closer to a top laner. I still think he has obviously has the ability to, but I don't know if he has the opportunity to right now because not much has changed the landscape of top.
Would
Besides solo
Q
Q.
even do enough damage in the top lane?
It's
Well, I mean, I assume you wouldn't save it to rank up last like you would in the
Right.
jungle. But isn't it that Santana, was it you that said that his auto attacks do more damage than Q? Somebody said that. Yes, on Saturday.
it might now. I'd have to double check because for whatever
they
reason.
definitely do. They don't deal any damage. Like Q doesn't deal any damage. It's 50 magic damage. His auto attack
For whatever reason, top lane
is
Zac was
60 at level 1.
top lane Zac was actually a thing in KR solo queue for pretty much a long time up until now, and most of the one tricks that were playing it have dropped it since the changes. So that might say it's probably not any good anymore.
Q would be really easy to use up there, but yeah, if it's not doing any damage, it wouldn't be
Sure.
necessarily an effective harass tool.
Yeah, I don't.
God. I don't see why they felt it so necessary to drop so much damage off of Q. Just like really looking
Right.
at it.
I don't
because
feel
they tried to give it some more utility with the fact that you can grab two champions or whatever it is and slam them
Sure.
together. So I assume because they give it utility, they want to drop some of the damage on it. But then you look at people like Sejuani, who has just boatloads of utility.
Yeah, they
banked
gave
into
her
it, too.
tons of damage.
Yeah. Like, they upped her clear speed by a lot, and then she got tanky. She got more damage. She got more stuns. It's... Oh, Jesus.
Starts adding some damage back in the kit. I think they need to make a change to the ult where it, like, maybe slightly roots people for, like, 0.25 seconds or something. Halfway
some sort
through
of
the
slow.
channel, or, adds a slow. A slow would be a good one. To it, because the criticisms that I've seen from Zac mains is that his ultimate no longer disrupts like his previous ultimate did, but even by just casting it, you had to you were getting bounced around or you were taking some kind of damage, and now you don't take any of that because you can just walk out of it. Yes, it disrupts by the fact that you have to walk out of it in one direction or the other, but there's no damage when he drops down into the blob form.
Yeah. It kind of kills some of his, like, tower dive potential, too, because a lot of times you go in with, like, your mid laner or top laner, and Zac damage off his ult on one target is actually a pretty significant chunk, and it up his kill pressure, and now he just doesn't have that.
Yeah, they have to make some changes to him. There's really no saving that champion.
I understand, like, they wanted to make him, like, give him a little more, I don't know, utility in his kit, but I felt like he was out of the three, he was the one I was kind of like, don't think Zac needed to be focused for the update here, but...
So, like, I can see why you would make that argument, because he had pretty good play rate. He was reasonably successful and everything. So from that type of numbers standpoint, it didn't make a lot of sense to change him and everything. Reality, though, was that once you were in the fight and you've pressed R, literally all you were doing was just walking around and pressing W and pressing,
Sure.
like, you were just dealing damage without really having to do anything to deal that damage. Mm-hmm. And, like, they're just trying to get champions away from that type of gameplay. So, like it or not, you actually have to think about what you're doing with Q now.
So yeah, like
Kind of.
No,
But,
you
like,
really do. Like, you do.
He's still doing the same thing, though. He ults, and then he presses W, and he walks around. And, yeah,
Right,
he can
but,
Q
like,
now,
Q-
but it's on a decent cooldown, so...
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to think about, because it's on a decent cooldown, and it's just the first target it hits. It's not like it's gonna go through stuff and damage everything. Like, you have to think about what you're doing with Q, and that was they succeeded in that goal. That doesn't mean it was an actual success as far as the champion is concerned and everything, but they can tune those numbers to make it better.
I hope.
Yeah, we hope and everything, or he's just going to stay in the dumpster and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't know that he was necessarily changing everything, but I'm going to always argue against people who are like, he was fine before. It's like, no, he was boring before when it came down to it. For how fun a thematic he has going on and everything, to really just be, like, have the only interesting in your kit be your E, like, that's pretty disappointing. I mean, his R is also a lot more interesting now, too.
I think they need
when
to give
that gets
something to
tuned
that.
properly, it's going to be really, really fun and really, really powerful.
Because originally on PBE, didn't it originally ground, and then they took that away?
I
Oh, I
Like
don't remember, but that would be
The first
cool.
iteration I'm pretty sure it grounded, but they took it away because they felt it was too powerful. I think you could actually give that back, and it would be okay.
That would be really good, and like it. Also, Singed really should have grounding.
On his W?
Yeah,
I mean,
he doesn't fundamentally need it and everything, but thematically it would make a lot of sense for that to
Sure.
be there.
There's a couple of champions that could get that and be like, oh, that makes sense, sure.
And it's not like Singed is seeing such heavy play that he would suddenly warp. I mean, maybe he would suddenly warp things and everything, but I feel like,
I feel like Singe is a champion you have to be very careful about. You don't want that like being like the 50% pick rate champion in top lane because it's just really boring.
well, that's true. But like they could stand to have more champions doing the grounding effect than just Cassiopeia. It'd be nice if there is a top laner who could do that for your team if they have a particularly dash heavy comp that they're running, and if there is a jungler that could sort of fill that niche. That would be a good change for the game.
I don't know if he necessarily needs grounding on it. I just think adding some kind of slow or brief snare or something to it that you charge it, get a brief snare, or it just automatically slows by 50% or something when you drop to the platform. It has to have that added CC to it so that he has a easier time hitting it because he's already jumping in and disrupting. So basically, you're jumping in and then going right into blood.
Well, they get slowed when they stand on top of him.
Yeah, it's like what 30
to 50, 30 to 50,
But it's
depending
not
on rank.
enough. That's
Wait. They're slowed after he lands.
No, slowing any enemy standing on top of him.
This says upon landing, nearby enemies are slowed.
Yeah.
I see the first part.
Active. Zac squishes himself down for 2.5 seconds, charging for the duration during which he is immune to crowd control.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And slowing any enemy standing on top.
So what is the radius that he expands to? I don't see that number anywhere.
That's a great question.
Because he only needs to be down for 1 second. And when I was drunk playing against him, he was able to carry me. Yeah, that 1 second was not enough time for me to react. But I don't see what that radius is. I don't know how easy it is to get out of that.
It would be cool if channeling it longer increased the radius of it. Like it started out at a X number and everything, but then channeling it up to 2.5 seconds and everything, he got wider and wider. Like that's one way to make that more interesting without just making the numbers, or without making the damage numbers bigger.
Yeah, I guess grounding is probably the way to go to it. Add that to it. I was thinking you didn't get slowed because it's just too easy to walk out of the ultimate. Even with 30% slow, that's kind of more or less why I said there was no slow to it before, because I never felt like I have been slowed when I've been walking through a Zac ultimate. Then again, I've never hit the 50% mark either, because the game never goes to level 18 or 16.
Yeah, the one time I ran into him, we won in 22 minutes. So
it just doesn't have that oomph that it previously did. It doesn't have the disruption that it previously did. If anything, he was getting some kind of damage off in a team fight with his old ultimate. So there's just not enough going on with a 30% slow in an area.
Yeah,
it needs to be sticky. He's a monster. It needs to be like super sticky and hard to move. Like ground. I think I like grounding. I think that's the way to go with that.
and we'll see where that goes.
Good. More damage and like maybe a touch. Like maybe start the cooldown for stretching strikes at 10 seconds and then just sandwich it down to 8 still like it is.
Yeah. No, that's probably. Yeah, from right now they're looking for PBE. For PBE, they're. Oh boy, they're giving it. They're giving his Q damage scaling based on Zac's max health now.
Okay.
So they're nerfing base damage and giving him like 4%. Max health damage on it, and then they're increasing the slow duration and the AoE size and some of the other things that go with it, and they're giving his E back the full 1 second knockup based on how long he's charged it.
That'll help a lot too.
Yeah, so it's a good way to approach it without going overboard. So we'll see if that goes through and see how that looks at 7.10, but it's a couple weeks down the line.
Which is good. Yeah, give us a couple weeks to play on this. What's about Malachi? Because he is another champion. He's been seeing a lot of play at the jungle. I guess there's some port stuff, too, as well. We can talk a little bit about that. But I played him out of the jungle, and I have seen Sean play him. things I like about it is that I like the empowered saplings out of the bushes because it's more engaging to play out of the jungle now because you feel like you don't just have to stand there and auto attack. You actually have to move the creeps around to have them hit by things and whatnot. Annoying though that there's no more land damage. So like if you're trying to execute somebody with the sapling as they're running away under the tower, you have to hope the sapling charges enough to run at them and kill them.
And that was changed 2 patches ago, I believe, when they took away his landing damage.
Right.
Yeah, it's been gone for a minute.
One thing I don't like, and it's a stupid thing, is that if you normal cast that ability, it no longer has, because there's no splash damage, and this was probably changed that a couple patches ago, it no longer has that little AoE circle on it, so you can kind of get an idea where it's landing. Instead, it's just a reticle.
Oh, I didn't even pay attention to that.
I haven't played it, so I wouldn't know.
It's a stupid little thing. I liked that little circle that you got with it, so I had an idea of. I mean, obviously, it doesn't make sense to have that little circle because then you assume it's going to do damage when it lands.
You were just comfortable with it.
It's just very comfortable to have that, right? But it's something that I'll get over as I play the champion.
I like how it relays the damage over time effect being dealt to you with the little popping. And I like that there are custom sprites in it based on the skin and everything. Like it's a little present stuck to you if you're running festive Maokai and everything. But that was unexpected. And for how many damage over time abilities are in the game and don't sort of clearly indicate when they are dealing damage to you, that was a really nice touch in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed.
Played against him in top lane. Clearly, a lot of his dueling pressure was gone. So, I mean, the lane wasn't necessarily difficult. The only annoyance was it was harder to push into him because of saplings now. Saplings were actually better at clearing the wave. Since you could just throw him in the bush, creeps approach his turrets, and then the saplings trigger and clear the wave, and I'm angry.
Yeah.
Because I want to push into the turret so I can go somewhere else. It's a stupid tree.
He's very much moved into jungle and support now, I think.
I've run into him and I've run into support Maokai. A friend of mine also is playing it and he's swearing by. He's like, AP support Maokai, you do this. I'm like, yeah, you're in an MMR where you can really stomp people when they don't understand what a champion's doing, and so that's what you're getting away with. Which good, that's how you climb, but don't expect it to last that long and everything because he also has a bunch of really bad warding habits and that. Type
It's doing
of stuff.
really well in high elo now too, though.
It's not doing really well. It's doing okay.
I got 53%. He's like the second or third highest win rate right now.
I see 50.88. He is under
Different
Sona.
sites.
Blitz, Janna.
I think we're looking at different queues too. I'm
looking at.
I don't look at NA usually because I have.
I'm looking at worldwide.
Worldwide, okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Worldwide.
I don't think it's like overpowered. Again, I think it's people don't realize like sapling does max health damage and it doubles out of push. It just gives you really good lane control.
To your point earlier, Dom, where you're saying that, AP Maokai, you were talking about support, right? A lot of people on like day 1 or day 2 were talking about how awesome AP, just mid lane Maokai or top lane AP Maokai is. And like the one guy he posted, he had like 3 gifts and they were all people running into bushes and dying. And I just kind of threw my hands up in the air. I'm like, these people are just stupid. They're just walking into unwarded bushes when you're up 4 or 5 kills, right? Like, of course they're going to.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, so abuse it as long as you have it and everything, but the reality about, especially out of support, going AP Maokai is that you're going to press W and get into a fight, and then you are going to die. Because you're not going to deal enough damage to one-shot anything, and you don't have any of the tank stats you need to continue doing other Maokai things.
Anymore.
Yeah,
I
really
do think
old Maokai's kit was better for support than new Maokai, besides like, poking in lane.
I do think one of the things that people are starting to figure out is... 2 things really. When they're engaging, they're realizing that if you just cast ult and then cast Q, you get more CC time out of it instead of like just casting ult. But I also think Maokai's gonna be really good in coordinated team play because he's like Talia. You just throw ult and you secure objectives. We were playing against it, and remember we tried to check Baron, and Maokai threw ult at us in that choke by blue buff on blue side. We couldn't walk up, and they got Baron.
Oh, I think he's great out of the jungle. Sean played a killer couple Maokai games. Over the weekend, and I really think jungle is the best spot for him.
Probably,
and it seems like junglers are the only ones who actually understand how to use his ult properly.
Yeah. His ultimate is awesome. I just want to put that out now. I think there was a lot of people out there that were saying his ultimate sucks. It's too slow. It doesn't do what it needs to do. But that's because you really have to change your frame of mind about how you're using this ultimate. This ultimate is not an engage tool. This ultimate is a zoning or follow-up tool. Like, you can drop this ultimate as you're walking towards somebody, and then they're zoned off the turret, or like you said, Baron or whatever it is. I really like it if you're tower diving. Like, for the 4-man bot, you just cast the ultimate, and it comes creeping, and they can't get away because of how fucking wide it is.
Yeah, again, I kind of equate it to Talia Wall, where you just cast Wall, you can separate teams, you can make really advantageous team fights, and Maokai does the same thing now. It's just a little bit slower.
It's still comical at how slow it is. Whether it's good or not, I chuckle every time I see it.
It really is.
Sure. And with the cats, it's hilarious.
That's what I was going to say. Dom was saying they had the little sprites. It's got little cats now. Like the
little long cats just going up and down.
And making meowing noises.
Mm-hmm. So good.
I will say, yes, it is really slow because Santana and I were playing last night, and I used it to try to zone people off a turret, and of course everybody dives as soon as they use the ultimate because they think it's a
Did they run ahead of the ultimate?
I ran ahead of the ultimate. I dropped it, and I was ahead of the ultimate, but I did that to W in and then get the root. You know, you W in, you Q, and you get the root of the ultimate after the fact. Thankfully, I was tanky enough to just eat the turret aggro the entire time while my team dove, and I didn't die.
Yep.
But yeah, it's one of those where you cast it and you're like, I'm coming, it's coming behind me, you better run. And eventually it
better run, Egg.
Again, I think thematically it fits Maokai a lot more than just having like this giant circle that made him take less damage and his team take less damage. It's very slow, treant coming in to get you eventually.
Yeah, ultimate, I mean, I think any of the complaints levied at Maokai right now are really just people who didn't realize he was getting changed or like liked the way he was before and are just like, wah, it's different now. Why?
We don't like change, Dom. Come on.
Yeah.
Or they assume, like Pone said, that the ultimate is an engage tool because, like, when you first read about it, that's kind of the idea you get. It's like, oh yeah, AoE CC, this would be great for engaging, until you actually try to use it for that purpose, and you're like, this doesn't work at all. Maokai's terrible. This ultimate sucks.
And there are a number of champions who have who have abilities like that, where people mistakenly think that's an engage tool and everything. Brahm's ult is not a good engage tool. Yeah. You have to work really hard to make it a mediocre engage tool.
Nami the same way.
Yeah.
Question though, if I don't know if this was brought up when you guys first talked about Maokai. Does Windwall and Braum Shield stop the entire thing, or only that portion?
It stops a portion, which is what separates him from the everybody else that we just talked about. Whereas Braum and Yasuo can block those big abilities.
Yeah,
they can only block part.
I know it's too much, and it'll never happen. But I'm really sad that it can't root you more than once. Because, for example, I rooted somebody in a turret with it. I think I overlapped the root. It was a J4. I overlapped the root, all that stuff.
And he like EQs over.
He EQ'd away from it, and then it kept coming at him, and it walked over him as he was running away, and it didn't.
That'd be so good.
And I was like,
I wish I did that too, just to punish people like that.
Even if it was just like a lesser duration route. Mm-hmm. Like, because if that really works out and everything, I kind of feel like Maokai should be rewarded for either throwing it really well or the other person being that dumb.
Dead shadowing back into it or things like that. That'd be funny. Yeah.
I'd like a way lesser route, even if it's like 0.2 seconds or something stupid, like 1 second, right? Like just really quick, just like you got stopped. Because it felt really good because I was like, yes, I got him again with it, and then it does not.
Oh wait, that's not how that works.
So. Next up is Sejuani, and it's probably not too much to talk about that champion right now, other than the fact that she's ban-worthy across the board.
Pretty good.
Even the hotfix nerfs just don't matter.
Yeah, Sean was playing her for the first time after she got hotfix nerfed and everything, and she's just dealing an unreal amount of damage. He remarked at one point in the game I played with him, he's like, I haven't even cleared any of my jungle camps just because it's faster to go to lanes and kill champions.
Yeah. And her clear is really speedy now, too. So it's like she has almost no weak points at this point, because with passive she takes no damage in the jungle. She clears really fast. She has really good pre-6 gank potential. Her post-6 gank potential is really strong. She's got single target stuns. They gave her so much in her kit.
And she was the one I was expecting to see support play and everything, but why would you? Would you when she's such a monster out of the jungle right now?
I don't know, because you can like first pick her and then grab Graves too, right? It's like they need to tone down her damage on, is it E? I think it's E. Is that the flail thing?
No, W is flail.
W
is the permafrost, the automatic.
Yeah, think they need to tone down W again just to slow her clear down, so it's a little bit.
Well, even just in general, you can you can cast W and then cast Q, and she's just going to keep swinging away. You can cast Q and then cast W while you are in mid charge and everything. So she can actually deal a surprising amount of damage all at once if you're not really paying attention to how she's doing it.
And funny side point, her Iceborne use is really good because she has like 600 armor at level 14 or whatever. So she gets this giant Iceborne field for her first proc, which is I find amusing. It's like old Graves, when Graves could really stack True Grit when you get Iceborne.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Iceborne Gauntlet, sorry.
It's only because she's a Freljord champion. I was like, wait, Iceborne, what part of her kit is that? Yeah, oh yeah, right.
Passive or something.
The actual Gauntlet, where it's like takes up the entire lane because of her armor. Yeah. Fun.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people saw that one coming.
No. I saw it today earlier on stream. I was like, oh, that does work with that, doesn't it?
Speaking of things that work speaking of interactions, there we go. Adaptive Helm. I wanted to quickly touch on that before Rift Herald, because we had tried to guess how Adaptive Helm worked, and there was a thread in our summer school today that asked the same question. How does Adaptive Helm work? Because it's not clear. So to throw that out there, apparently it is working on AoE abilities like Mummy's W, Karthus E. It is reducing the damage over time on that. Kale E, it's reducing all subsequent hits when she's got that available. Zyra Plants, it's reducing all subsequent damage from Zyra Plants. Syndra R, that was the one that I argued about that it wouldn't. It is reducing subsequent damage on the balls hitting.
Because each of them do their own damage. Each ball does.
Right. So that Syndra R is being reduced. However, if you're buying Adaptive
You heard
Helm,
it here
you're
first,
likely
80
not being-
carries. Time to get that Adaptive Helm when you're against Syndra.
I haven't seen this item that much. I've seen it like maybe once in like the 10-ish games I've played.
I'm honestly not surprised. People are really, really slow to look at new items unless it's a support item, because supports are so desperate for new things.
Right.
But top laners, like, they don't give a shit. They're going to build what they've always built.
And also, it's so situationally good. Like, yeah, it's really good in the Cassiopeia. Makes sense. Talia, pretty good there. But, like, if they have, like, a Xerath, like, I'm not going to buy Adaptive Helm.
Rise, maybe.
Maybe, but
So
there's so many other spells. I just feel like there's other items you should be buying.
Yeah, just keep in mind that it doesn't work on physical damage. It's all magic. So like you'd be like Garen E, right? That doesn't work on Garen E. There's actually an entire list here. Katarina, QWER, it all works on that. Fiddlesticks W, it stops subsequent damage from Fiddlesticks W. Meeps auto attacks from Bard, it does that as well. The brand rebouncing ultimate, it stops.
So Karma's empowered Q, the damage from her W.
Udyr
There's a lot
R,
of
Vel'Koz R, anything that does anything that does ticking damage, Volibear R, Xerath R, anything that
Anivia.
is ticking, stuff like that, it'll reduce damage. So it is pretty. It seems like it's a pretty decent item.
When you can use it. I mean, I'm looking through my history from Saturday, and of course I didn't think about using it for exactly what Dom said. I'm just going to build Spirit Visage because I'm a top laner. I like Spirit Visage. But I think I could see like 2 games out of the 10 or so that I played where I could have used it. Once against Swain, and then another against maybe support Kennen, but not really.
If you care, it'll stop Jax W, subsequent damage from that, so that second auto attack reset if you live that long.
Great.
I mean, the thing is,
You have Adaptive Helm, you might.
You're really paying for that passive, though, because like if you just look across like Spirit Visage, you get 125 more health and 5 more MR, and you get the passive off Visage versus you get 300 health on Helm and 55 MR. So,
Well, to your point, Santana, I was reading that all MR items right now are only 80 to 90% gold efficient.
Oh yeah, no, they're not great to start with.
So they suck now.
Yeah,
I mean, they don't
like-
suck, but you know what I mean.
Just compared
You
to
gotta
the
buy
cross-
them, but they're not as good as you'd like them to be.
Right.
No
Yeah, Adaptive
force
Helm is at 84% gold efficiency without the passive.
Yeah.
So I bought the not Adaptive Helm. What's the other one? The
Banshees?
armor.
Gargoyle.
Gargoyle.
Oh,
Yes, I bought Gargoyle Stone Plate on a Moo this weekend. Granted, that was the 0-13-5 Lucian game.
So it worked out.
fantastically.
I did like the item. Granted, we died almost immediately in a team fight, but I was able to jump in as a Moo ultimate, pop the item, with that many people around, with 3 to 5 people around me, and gain a significant amount of health and armor where I could eat the follow-up damage that was coming in and not instantly pop. Now, with that one game that I played on it and was able to use it, because granted, I did play AD carry, I don't play jungle, but
Yeah.
I think that item, if you're able to pick up some health before you buy it, is going to be a very devastating item on junglers like Sejuani and Moo, or anybody that's got some kind of AoE ability where they're going to be in the fray. Maokai, I could see using that as well.
Yeah. I think it's got its place. I don't think it's going to be like your first defensive item buy ever, because there's just other things I'd rather be getting.
You need effective health to make it work.
Yeah.
Did a listener write in kind of asking about that and making us wonder, and Todd got a really nice math reply back to us?
He wrote in and asked if the 60% damage would make percentage of your total life abilities do more damage, but it doesn't work that way because you gain the life and then you do 60% reduced damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Volibear's W as a basic example. With 2,000 bonus HP, it's a 15% bonus HP ratio, and the damage would be flat 210 plus 300, so 510 damage total, resists and everything. With Gargoyle active, that HP bonus jumps to 4,000 for 210 plus 600, but then reducing that by 60% gets it back down to 324.
So essentially doing 180 less damage.
Yeah, despite the fact that you doubled your bonus health there.
However,
it was a good idea by the listener, but
yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Just
math, numbers.
That's
yeah,
I emailed him like 3 times. I'm like, well, I don't think it works that way. Then I emailed it back, and I'm like, well, somebody with better math can do it for me. Then Todd did that. I copy pasted Todd's answer to him.
I imagine a lot of people were wondering about that, so we're in a good position to sort of disperse that info.
Yeah, the only champion that it gives more damage on is Cho'Gath because it's true damage ult. That's it.
Yeah, I'm always confused about how damage reduction, like or self-inflicted damage reduction, would work on true damage.
It doesn't. I'm pretty sure.
That seems kind of off.
Because exhaust doesn't work on Cho'Gath ult.
But that's from another target,
True, but
that's from an enemy.
I believe the way it's coded is any sort of damage reduction on true damage doesn't work, even if it's self-inflicted.
Yeah. I mean, like Vayne's Silver Bolts still deal full damage to Alistar while he's in his ult, which should be dealing, which has a lot of damage reduction. That annoys me, but it makes, I guess it makes some sense. But when it's inflicted on you in that way, I feel like Cho'Gath should be. I think he's coming out ahead in an unfair way, but abuse it.
Cho'Gath has a myriad of other issues that make him not a great champion. But if you want to play Cho'Gath, go play Cho'Gath.
So, what was the other item that I wanted to talk about? Oh, was it Sterix? The broken interaction with Sterix. Right.
Hey.
It's no longer unique on the base damage.
Right. Shield is still unique, but not the damage that you gain.
Correct. It's really good with base damage? Sheen.
Yes. I saw a screenshot of a Jax with Trinity Force and 5 Sterix, and he got plus 720 damage or so. On your
Sheen proc? Yeah.
On your Sheen proc? Yeah. That's pretty good.
Now, to be fair, you'd have to get 5 Sterix, but even just 2 is...
The base stats on those Sterix aren't great, so really you're just living for that passive.
Right, and... I mean, it makes things like Aurelia better, Jax, Darius. Darius never built Sheen, so it's not as big
Darius
of an issue.
Built Trinity Force pretty easily,
He just doesn't because he likes Cleaver first.
So if we assume that Sterix isn't broken in the future, or maybe it just turns out that it's not worthwhile to buy 5 of these, and you just want to buy 1. Let's just assume that we're living in the one Sterix world again.
Crazy world. All right, go.
I just have a hard time because I actually went to the weekend wanting to play with this item more and more, but every time I went to buy it, I thought to myself, you know what? I could use some armor instead, or I could use some magic resist because for every fighter they usually buy 1 damage item, Trinity Force or a Hydra item, and then they build defensive after that. Mm-hmm. So I'm still trying to figure out where to fit this into my build. Is it still a 4th or 5th item earliest, or can you fit in as a 2nd item? Does this become better than Black Cleaver after Black Cleaver got nerfed for some champions?
No.
I think the answer is no.
I think the question, or I think that depends on whether or not you're getting a Sheen item.
Yeah. If you're not getting Sheen, it's less important to get Sterix, because most of the time the base AD, since the Sterix nerf, like, oh boy, Season 6, when they first changed it around from Double Longsword back to Ruby Crystal, it doesn't give as much damage as it used to. So it's only good in these, like, Aurelia cases or Jax cases. Like, on Kled, I don't think you're ever getting Sterix unless, like, you're 10-0 and you have 3 items already. And maybe just in the off chance you might die.
Don't you lose a ton of damage, though? Kled, for example. So it's such doesn't he have different base stats from when he's mounted from when he gets down on the ground?
I believe so. Punch, you play more Kled than I do.
I don't pay attention to that shit. I just attack people. What are you talking about?
Spoken as a true Kled player.
But I can wiki it.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure...
I can wiki it.
Yeah, I'm pretally sure you are correct, and he has different base stats. So it's a bad example.
His basic attacks do less damage. I don't see a mention of it actually reducing his stats. They deal 80% AD. His basic attacks do.
Yeah, so his stats aren't lower.
So it doesn't lower his stats. He has a damage.
It's like Callista.
Sure.
Okay.
It would give him a little more time to get Scarl back.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's worth it. Could be worth it. In a duel, in a skirmish, yes. In a team fight, yeah, you're probably just gonna get blown up.
I don't think it's going to be as big of an issue. I mean, we saw these like gifs on Reddit and whatever where it's like 5 Sterix one-shotting people. It's like, that's never going to happen. I'm pretty sure this was unintended and it'll get fixed in the next patch or two. I don't think it's a high priority on the list right now. But it's something.
Good to know.
Yeah, it's good to know.
Try. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Especially if you build Titanic in somewhere in your build.
Or your name's Lowy.
She might be Russian Death's Dance.
Oh, that's an item that's shot up a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
a lot.
Good item. Why would you buy Bloodthirster when you could buy Death's Dance?
Well, people are building it instead of Mercurial now, just because it gives like 15 more AD than Mercurial.
And cooldown reduction.
Yep. And they just learned
lifesteal on everything you do, as opposed to
I know. That's an item that, again, I looked at, saw it, and like, why? Why was this needed?
Yeah, it was. Well, let's spend a little bit of time talking about Rift Herald. Get away from the items, because I don't think there's any other gigantic items that have changed. We had I
could talk about Doran's Shield for a little bit.
Yeah, Doran's Shield's pretty good.
You're right. I forgot about that item.
Banshee Veil.
So we were... so Punch and I were playing some games together, and he queues top main AD carry secondary, but he hasn't played AD carry in like a season and a half, 2 seasons now.
Very infrequently, yes.
So when he does play AD carry, as you might know, his one champion is Caitlyn. Punch's second pick on our team, but the first pick on the opponent team picked Caitlyn right away.
Yeah. When I saw that, I pooped my pants a little bit there. It was very
dying.
scary moment.
There's got to be recordings of me laughing the entire time because I just thought that was too good.
Oh yeah, Dom and Shiro thought it was hilarious. I'm like, guys, we're gonna have a hard time here. This is no good. I ended up picking Sivir. I don't remember the last time I played Sivir. It could have been over a year. So yeah,
but
that was
the first thing I said was like, Punch, just get Doran's Shield. Just get Doran's Shield. We're up against Caitlyn. You haven't done this in 5 months. Let's just be as safe as we possibly can. And
it was great. Yeah. Now I think it was a very healthy lane. I think the majority of that I can attribute to Dom, because he was Lulu and he would cast shield on me every time Caitlyn walked
Lulu
up.
fixes
to
everything.
Yeah, I mean, he just blocked the majority of the damage I would take anyway. But I still took some harass because I'm bad. And that shield actually did a very good job of giving me regen, and I didn't even need to use a pot. I was just relying on the shield regen until about like level 3. That's finally when I used one of my 2 pots. Like this is almost too much regeneration. I don't know if I need all of this. So that lane actually turned out very well.
And that's
I think
fine.
you're gonna see it. Yeah.
Sorry, you're just conceding to dueling the enemy champion at any point.
Right.
But I mean, Sivir's not going to be able to duel Caitlyn
At
to
level
begin
2.
with.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, Caitlyn's just got such a range advantage most of the for so long that by the time you think, okay, hey, I'm strong enough to duel, you're still at lower life than her.
That is a winnable lane as Sivir.
It is.
One, you have to be good, which I was not. But however, that lane they also had a Nami, so there was kind of too much regen on both sides.
That's a lot.
So I wasn't going to harass her out anyways.
You're gonna see
In
it
the
a
second
lot.
game I played AD carry, I did get Caitlyn, and I bought Shield again just for science. And we were playing a Karma Caitlyn lane, so even with the shield, we were able to put a lot of poke and make the enemy team hurt. They didn't have a very fun time, but obviously Doran's blade would have been better. I mean, Caitlyn's going to be the aggressor in almost every one of her lanes, so she puts the Doran's blade to much better use than the shield. I mean, I really didn't even need the pots in that game at all.
Warlords is enough.
It was
with
kind of
her.
a waste. Yeah. The Warlords was nice. The rapid fire cannon was nice, actually. It could turn out that I went Warlords, BF Sword, rapid fire cannon. It could turn out
Did I
that
go Hurricane?
build is horrible. No, I'm just testing it out.
Hurricane
right?
lost its on-hit damage, so a lot of people are trying out the other attack speed items because you lose the 15 damage on the main bolt, or the
Right.
main shot.
So I wanted to test out rapid fire, and I actually felt like I was doing. Now again, this is one game sample size, but I felt like I was doing pretty good damage in a losing game, and when I'm usually not expecting to contribute to fights as Caitlyn until I have 2 or 3 items. So. I don't know.
Tell
Rapid
that
fire
to
might
Trinity
be good.
Force. Tell that to Trinity Force, guys. I attribute my 37% win rate on Caitlyn, not to my poor play. Not all of it. Like, sometimes to my poor
Dude, you ate a lot of Blitzcrank hooks that game.
I did. You're right. And I ate Orianna Ultimate, which I swear to God, my foot was still standing on the edge of that.
But yeah, I think Doran Shield's actually going to probably be like the standard start in some of the really hard ADC lanes, like most of the Vayne lanes. I could see just starting Doran Shield. I remember people did it season 4. Like Vayne and the Caitlyn, they would start Doran Shield just so they could get through lane. That might happen again. You might see it in what's another terrible laning ADC? Tristana.
You can do Tristana or Jinx until, but you'd be
Karma-
doing it to like Varus. You'd
Yeah.
be doing anything like Karma, Lulu, Brand, Vel'Koz, Zyra, right? Like
Sure.
any of those.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
it's gonna have
it's
its place.
as much what you're playing as it is what you're playing into.
Oh no, definitely. But it's now more of a bottom lane starting item than it used to be. Even if that is like 5% of the time.
Yeah. That's to punch back to just your point earlier about Sivir. You're not, you understand, I know you understand this, you're not expected to ever win that Caitlyn Lulu or Caitlyn Karma lane, right, as Sivir. But you do get to that point where if you can survive long enough, you're just pushing them under the tower the entire time and then just creating pressure everywhere.
That's the plan.
That's what Sivir has always been good at, is just creating pressure. So
Yes.
I
And then use E to block Caitlyn's spells because they all have wind up.
we played into a Kennen support the other day, and that was fun as Sivir, because I just kept Eing every single Q he threw at me. I'm like, thanks for the free mana. I'm going to keep pushing your lane in.
Eventually, he started throwing them at me. Figured it out. But by that point, the things were long since lost for them.
So, Rift Herald?
Rift Herald.
Rift Herald.
It exists, and people were taking it.
Kind of. That Riot's numbers state
They were
that
slow.
Riot's numbers state people aren't taking it as often as they would like, and that doesn't mean the item isn't. It doesn't mean that Rift Herald isn't good. It just then means that people just aren't taking it.
They're slow to pick it up. That's
Right.
what I think.
And that makes sense since we've spent the better part of a year at this point not caring about that objective.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's actually pretty easy to 2-man, surprisingly, because like they said, like, oh, we did all this stuff to Rift Herald to make it do damage in these unique ways and stuff. I just feel like it's too easy to take still.
Yeah, it's not doing damage, or the damage is too easy to dodge.
Yeah, and then you get it, and it's guaranteed first turret, unless for whatever reason they rotate forward to that lane to stop it. And that's really strong.
It is like the number of times where the Rift Herald spawned and then a tower fell in the games where it showed up for me was pretty high.
Yeah, guaranteed first turret is not a stretch. That pretty much every time it gets you that turret.
And again, you can hold it for 4 minutes. So like if you get it at the 17, 18-minute mark, go bot lane, force them to answer, and then you take Baron because they have to go deal with this thing, or they lose an inhib turret.
And that's probably gonna really screw with professional stuff. So I'm interested to see that. But like when you think about the average solo queue game, and it can be so hard to convince your teammates to focus towers and everything. But it's weirdly easy. It's a lot easier to get them to take like a quick objective like that. And this thing is so low risk right now and everything that to sort of be able to ping that, if you're top or mid, like, hey, let's get this right now, and then all of a sudden people want to start focusing towers and everything, which is how you win the game in the first place. So for solo queue, it's a good thing to have.
Definitely.
Right now in solo queue, it's really only good for one tower, unless you have that perfect storm of times where people are in the right place. And it's probably been the same way in professional play. It's good for one tower, and I have noticed that it is easier to kill than I thought it would be. I know I argued that you could kind of drop it and do it, but even one person be able to CC it while it takes tower shots.
Yeah.
The big difference here before my argument when we talked about Rift Herald and now is the fact that they changed the targeting priority on turrets so that turrets target the Rift Herald before it targets the other minions. So it's easier to take down.
Probably a good change.
Right.
It's still strong.
And the damage it does to itself
yeah.
isn't negligible either.
You chunk for at least half the turret's health, or just a little less than that when it runs at it. So even that much is enough to take one of those outer turrets down by the point in the game that you've had the Rift Herald.
Especially when you're trying to crack mid lane, which is always a hard turret to take unless your lane opponent just leaves for an extended period of time.
I wish you could heal it with healing abilities and
Soraka.
Soraka Herald, like that would be a nightmare.
Just like
Lulu it'd be, it would open up a few unique strategies that for those types of champions that otherwise aren't available. And maybe that gives them too much power.
Protect the Herald comps.
Yeah, let's just make Lulu better than she is now, because we're gonna put picks on the Herald and start popping people with
I didn't say shield.
Ultimate
I just said
Herald.
Heal. I didn't say shield. I just said heal. But yeah, shields too.
Yeah, let's ultimate the Herald right before it dies that last tower.
I like
shot.
it.
Jesus
Get
Christ.
that giant
More
knockout.
health, more charge, more damage.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Rift Herald be contested in professional play, if at all, especially if the dragons don't spawn in favorable order for teams. Like like I said before, if Cloud Drake spawns in a professional game, most teams are not going for it unless they just don't have anything else to do. So Rift Herald will be the fight. And that's what I'm really looking forward to seeing.
I mean, even in solo queue, sometimes like it can be like a mountain drake, and it'll sit there for 18 minutes. Like when Dom yelled at me this weekend if we didn't get that one mountain drake. Or was that
was last week, and it was
Close
an
enough.
Infernal Drake.
Was it? It was a drake that we should have
I
taken
just
later.
it spawned, and I'd been paying attention to the timer, and like it's an Infernal Drake. It's important always and everything. I felt like it was really important for our comp. And I was like, I'm going to be really, really mad if we don't get this Drake.
But we got it eventually.
Yes, we did.
I think we.
And I wasn't mad.
I think we actually had to smite fight that one, if I remember correctly.
No. That one was the Nasus Rek'Sai Nami.
That
like
game.
That. No, Timo was down there too, and Dom was yelling about it. I walked up there, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to fucking take care of this myself, and I'm Varus, and I used my ultimate on all three of them, and then everybody engaged on it.
That's right.
Killed, they got the thing. But yes, because I think I clipped that clip because Dom was so
That was
worried
great.
about it.
I was not. It was an important Drake.
Don't
We
get
needed to
between
take
Dom
it.
and his Infernal Drakes.
Yeah. All Drakes are important. I want all of them.
All Drakes matter.
I'm on a dragon genocide. I'll admit it, but
God, it's like pulling teeth to get people to do that shit though in solo queue.
oh my god,
Oh, I know. It's so bad. I'm guilty of that too, because I'm like, but all my lane farm.
you are, and it annoys me.
When he jungles, he's really bad about it. Yes.
Hey. No, I'm not getting better, let's be honest.
No, you're not.
Look,
Baby steps.
I think there are comfort champions, though, Santana, that you are better on it. Like if you play Graves, you are much more comfortable
I know.
out of the jungle, and
Graves.
you are much more likely to take Dragon. Not just because you're healthy or any of that, but just because you're more comfortable in the champion. If you play
'cause I know the
Kindred,
packs.
you zone in on this one objective, and you have to do that objective.
I've actually given up giving
camping
marks now.
top lane. That's the objective.
What?
Hey,
Wait,
camping
no.
top lane wins games.
Why'd you? I
I
want you to
agree.
repeat yourself.
I agree.
Repeat yourself.
I've given up on giving marks now
Holy
on most of it.
shit!
Well, because
Hallelujah.
I switched builds now that IE is cheaper again. So you just go Warrior, PD, IE. or warrior static, i.e.
And he Santana, he had a really good engage as Kindred in one of these games that we played where you jumped into the dragon pit and then cast altering yourself immediately because you were going to die.
I was like,
Did you do that on accident?
I did. I jumped in. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to smite this dragon. Oh, there's like everyone here.
And we won the fight, so it was great.
We won the fight. We got the dragon. It was fine, but
it's great. All I'm hearing is I need to play more Kindred so I can learn
next
these
level
NPCs.
initiation strategies right there.
Does that ultimate work like Bards where it keeps dragon alive if you cast?
Yeah, it keeps objectives alive.
I thought so.
Mm-hmm. You can do some wonky stuff with Baron.
I thought so.
Great dragon.
Mm. And I guess Rift Herald now too, if you need to.
That'd be weird.
Right.
Five-man Rift Herald fight. Let's go.
I guess it could happen if it becomes contested.
Maybe bot lane moves the mid lane. Who knows? I doubt it.
I like those things where you jump in and you go, oh shit, right? Like I posted. To me, I posted. If you haven't seen it, you need to go, you guys. If you're out there, you have Plays TV clips. We're always trying to post really funny ones that just happen to us or in games we're playing.
Yeah.
And the hashtag is TForce Plays. You can find it on Twitter or in our Discord. And yeah, I posted one the other day where both Santana and Dom were like, good job, Adam. Way to go. And I go back and I watch the clip, and I'm like, I didn't do anything.
You didn't die. Like, it seemed like it was surefire death, and you got, like, that's all I cared about.
That's all that
you got
matters.
out without dying.
Yeah.
And then you went back in and got a couple kills.
Oh, I need to find that Kindred clip now, because that was pretty funny.
Yeah, those type of clips you gotta do. Where I was talking to Dark this weekend. I was out having a beer with him. He showed me a video where he was Braum and he W'd to his lane partner, and the Warwick goes soup right by him. And he didn't mean to do it. Just Warwick comes out of the bush. He's like, I totally meant to do that, and then I look badass. It made me laugh. I love it.
Right.
So if you guys have any of those clips like that where you screw up or you do something unintentionally cool, we want to see them because they're hilarious.
Or you have somebody crazy in the background screaming about stuff. Your own Shira Jaden.
And everyone wants their own Chi-Chi.
No one is like Chi-Chi.
That's true. But we can all aspire to be.
Well, I think we'll leave it there. I know we're a little short on the hour, but we covered a lot of information this evening than we normally do. So anybody else have anything else they had to get out or need to talk about this evening?
Cassidon. Fuck that champion.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah,
Cassidon.
fuck him.
Oh, God. He got
He sucks.
super good again. Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably all you can really say is Cassidon just got super good again, and he may be working his way up the ban ladder fairly quickly.
Yeah. I don't think he probably is actually there, but yeah, because right now he loses the Lucian lane pre-6 because Lucian's a mid laner now, heads up. He loses Talon and kind of loses Jace, and that's it. Everything else is he goes even or he wins the lane and then he dumpsters it after 6, and it's super fun.
Super fun as in you lose and you just keep going off and doing
Yeah.
Cassidon things.
Pretty much. It's awesome. So Cassidon, he's a champion again. God damn it, Riot.
So, well,
He's
coming up,
comfortable in
Yeah,
ban prison.
he's already 5th most picked mid laner, so.
Yep.
yeah, right back up there. Great, thanks. I love Cassidon. I love season 3 and 4. That was my favorite season to play in.
It was my favorite season.
Well, coming up this Wednesday, we're going to get back into the mold of a couple podcasts of teaching you guys what to do and how to get better. I know we had a lot of them here for the mid-season, but it required a lot of discussion so that you guys knew what's coming on. Things that are in our document that I can't wait. We had how to pick a support in here for probably 2 months at this point. We just haven't had a chance to talk about it. I'm looking forward to talking about that on Wednesday. As well as playing to improve versus playing to win, which is a lot of our Summoner School stuff. If you guys aren't on that subreddit, it's a really cool subreddit to go on. There's at least 1 or 2 posts on there every day that are decent to read, as well as some listener questions. So if you have one to get it in before the end of the night on Wednesday, because we record on Wednesdays. Otherwise, we'll get to it the next time we have a listener question episode. And I think that's it. I think that's where we're going to leave it at for this evening. That is episode 4. What is that? 439.
39.
We're closing in on 450.
At this point, it's kind of like the Joe Rogan podcast. They're at 9. He's at like 956 or something because he does one every day. And it's just like, woo, we hit another milestone.
Well, I don't know.
500 will be something.
I remember when the joke was someday we're going to hit 100, so.
That's fair. And here we are.
I never
a
thought you'd
little
hit
up
200.
You really thought we
Wow,
were going
thanks
to
for
fizzle out
believing
before
in
then?
us.
Oh, was that?
Cross your fingers we make it to 500, especially when I have to dip out for a couple months here in the summer.
Oh yeah.
Oh
It's gonna be
boy.
fun.
Things could get ugly.
We'll manage.
We'll make it.
We'll do
All right,
great.
guys.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Trinity Force Podcast. Patreon.com/TForce Network. If you want to support us, you can always just donate to us on PayPal if you want. I think it's donate.trinityforcepodcast.com. It might still work. If it doesn't, whatever, just hit me up and we'll take care of it if you want to donate to the network. If you don't and you want to listen for free, I don't care. Enjoy. That's why it's out there. Guys, we will see you all on Wednesday with another League of Legends episode. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Toodles.
See ya.